The sea was calm that night. Too calm. The kind of stillness that makes your gut twist, whispering to you that something isn't right. I'd been out on the water countless times, but this voyage was different. I could feel it in my bones. My boat, the Selkie, creaked softly as it drifted, the gentle lap of the water against the hull, the only sound in the vast, yawning darkness. The moon hung low, a pale sickle casting silver streaks across the sea. The horizon was a black line, dividing the world into two voids, one of endless water, the other of infinite sky. I'd been out fishing for 2 days, pushing farther from shore than I ever had before. The deeper waters promised bigger hauls, or so I told myself. The truth was, I needed the escape. Too many memories, too much pain lingered back on land. My lines were set, the bait dangling enticingly in the inky depths below. I leaned back in my chair, taking a swig of lukewarm coffee. The air was thick with salt, the kind that clings to your skin and seeps into your lungs. It was peaceful, almost hypnotic. That was when I saw the first ripple. It was subtle at first, a small disturbance in the water about 20 feet from the boat. I squinted, thinking it might be a dolphin or a stray seal. But the ripple grew, spreading outward in concentric circles that seemed unnaturally large for such a minor disturbance. I leaned forward, gripping the edge of the railing. Then I saw it. A tentacle. Black as night, slick and glistening, it rose silently from the water. It was thicker than a tree trunk, its surface covered in writhing, pulsating suckers that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. It hovered there for a moment, swaying gently like a cobra sizing up its prey. My breath caught in my throat as another tentacle emerged, then another, until 6 of them surrounded the boat, like the petals of some grotesque flower. I froze, my coffee slipping from my hand and shattering on the deck. The sound seemed to stir the creature. The tentacles moved, slow and deliberate, sliding over the edges of the boat. The wood groaned under their weight. My instincts screamed at me to move, to do something, but I was paralyzed. All I could do was watch as the monstrous appendages explored my vessel, their slick surfaces leaving trails of viscous slime in their wake. A low, guttural sound echoed from beneath the water, a deep vibration that I could feel in my chest. It wasn't just a noise, it was a presence, a force that seemed to seep into my very being. The tentacles tightened their grip, and the boat tilted precariously, the stern dipping dangerously close to the waterline. "No," I whispered, finally finding my voice. "No, no, no." I scrambled to the cockpit, my hands fumbling with the ignition. The engine roared to life, and I slammed the throttle forward. The boat lurched, the sudden movement throwing me off balance. I hit the deck hard, pain jolting through my shoulder. The creature responded instantly. The tentacles snapped tight, holding the boat in place despite the roaring engine. Desperation took hold. I grabbed a flare gun from the emergency kit, my fingers trembling as I loaded it. I aimed at the nearest tentacle and fired. The flare struck its target, erupting in a burst of red light and smoke. The tentacle recoiled with a shriek that pierced the night, a sound so unearthly it made my skin crawl. For a moment, I thought I'd won. The tentacles released the boat, retreating into the water. The engine roared louder as the boat surged forward, cutting through the waves. I dared to hope, dared to believe that I'd escaped. But then the water exploded. The entire sea seemed to rise, a massive column of water surging upward. From its center emerged the creature's head. It was a nightmare made flesh, a grotesque amalgamation of eyes, mouths, and writhing appendages. Its central eye, a bulbous orb the size of a car, glowed with a sickly yellow light that seemed to bore into my soul. Its mouths, there were at least 3 that I could see, lined with jagged teeth, opened and closed in a grotesque rhythm, emitting guttural, otherworldly sounds. I screamed, a primal guttural sound that tore from my throat. The creature roared back, its cry shaking the boat and sending waves crashing over the deck. I clung to the railing, soaked and shivering, as the monster's tentacles rose once more. They moved with terrifying speed, slamming into the boat with enough force to crack the hull. Water gushed in, and the boat began to list. "No, please," I begged, my voice raw. "Don't do this." The creature didn't care. It couldn't care. This was no ordinary beast. It was ancient, primal, a force of nature that existed beyond comprehension. Its tentacles coiled around the boat, splintering wood and crushing metal as if they were toys. I grabbed the flare gun again, firing blindly. The flares struck its hide, but the creature barely flinched. It was toying with me, savoring my terror. The boat was sinking fast, water rushing over the deck and into the cabin. I knew I had only moments before it pulled me under. Desperation gave way to a grim determination. If I was going to die, I wouldn't go quietly. I grabbed a knife from the emergency kit, its blade glinting in the moonlight. As one of the tentacles swept toward me, I lunged, driving the blade into its flesh. The creature roared, a deafening sound that seemed to shake the very air. Thick, black ichor oozed from the wound, its stench making me gag. The tentacle recoiled, thrashing wildly and knocking me off my feet. I hit the deck hard, the knife slipping from my grasp. The boat tilted further, the water now up to my knees. The creature loomed over me, its massive eyes staring down with a malevolent intelligence. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. I could see myself reflected in that eye, a tiny, insignificant figure against the vastness of the sea. Then it struck. The tentacles wrapped around me, their slimy grip cold and unyielding. I struggled, kicking and screaming, but it was useless. The creature lifted me into the air, holding me above the water like a trophy. I could feel its gaze, its countless eyes studying me, judging me. And then, without warning, it plunged me into the sea. The cold was a shock, stealing the breath from my lungs. I fought to surface, but the tentacles held me fast, dragging me deeper and deeper. The light from the moon faded, replaced by an all-encompassing darkness. The pressure built, my chest burning as I struggled for air. I could hear the creature's roar, muffled and distant, as if coming from another world. As consciousness slipped away, I saw them. Other shapes, other creatures, moving in the depths. They were like the monster, yet smaller, their tentacles writhing as they closed in. The realization hit me with a chilling finality. This wasn't just one creature. This was its domain, and I was trespassing. The last thing I saw before the darkness claimed me was the glow of their eyes, countless pinpricks of light in the abyss, watching, waiting, and then nothing.